What up? Is this live now? No? Yeah, we are back. We are back to our prowess. Oh my god. Yeah, I've returned from my little break, and I've spent this uh about 20 minutes trying to hype myself up because I just thing is my brain was not energetic at all. And now that I've done some, you know, inner motivation, stuff like that, I feel like I've come back to a state of, I guess, happiness. I don't know, something like that. But like, yeah, we are going to be discussing about morality on this stream. And in fact, I already started 2 streams before the first one was because, well, I started streaming and my internet got off. And then I got logged out of my account. And I seriously thought that I got banned. And then I was like, oh, fuck. Because I honestly thought, because I said um the R word, the intimate activity without consent. I said that word, and I honestly thought I got banned for that, which is gonna, it's stupid when I look back at it now, because it's honestly not even uh it's not even, I don't think it's actually against the TOS on YouTube. But also a fun fact uh about me saying that word, I wasn't even live during that time, which means that my concern was basically pointless. How funny that. But yeah, then I started streaming again, and I honestly just got so non-energetic that I needed to take like a little break. But yeah, I've returned now, and I want to play some Manicube parkour while speaking about these little topics that I've gathered for today. The first topic that I really want to talk about is this one comment from my first ever YouTube video on this channel. It's from an account called Morality Without Addiction, and if you want to go to his channel, he has made a very good video essay about this topic. Let me just bring this up for y'all so I can kind of play while I'm talking about this. I think I've gathered my thoughts a little bit, so I can just like kind of talk while I'm parkouring. I feel like I then I'll get unenergetic again, and it's gonna f my whole thing up. But whatever. Let's go to not there. There. Thank you. Good. We are back to the same point where I left it off. So yeah, let me just bring this out for y'all so I can kind of make my conclusions and then parkour as after I've read. So the first proposition is that ultimately, biologically speaking, the justification for procreation is enhancing and or regulating the mental health of the existent. Okay, that's the first conclusion. So the idea is that procreation is in a sense a drug, because there's always like this biological endpoint where our enjoyment is actually the main reason why we actually give birth. So it's basically like a drug, but it's a very serious, it's much like it isn't an unhealthy drug. Like, you can take so many different kinds of drugs, but this one actually, it enhances your mental health. But yeah, for the secondary proposition, if making innocent people feel pain and suffer and die via procreation is moral or immoral, because doing so enhances or regulates the mental health of the existent, it seems any act that makes innocent people feel pain and or suffer and or die is moral and immoral as long as it enhances or regulates the mental health of the existent. So, as I said about the drug example, it's basically a drug that improves our mental health, um, and that's a very good thing. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a better mental health? But um, the only problem is that uh, it causes other people to suffer and die, which is like, uh, are we serious? Like, uh, and the question here is that is this really moral or even amoral? I mean, everything is basically amoral. I mean, morality is a concept that we've come up with. It's only for us to decide if something is actually worth being moral or immoral, right? So, very, very simply put, we we uh, we make children because our brain in some form benefits from that mental health wise, right? Third conclusion is I am therefore led to believe that to endorse procreation on the basis that it enhances or regulates the mental health of the existent, aka you could have potential parents and or other people who just overall just kind of, I mean, it's basically overall parents, but it's like if you were to use another example, uh like for example the drug analogy that I used, that you use a drug that improves your mental health but you're causing other people to suffer and die. um it's basically it's in this example like or at least as an argument for and pronatalism. uh it's basically about the parents, right? So um I'm therefore led to believe that to endorse procreation on the basis that it enhances or regulates the mental health of the existing, aka potential parents and or other people, is to endorse acts like abuse. And this is where I actually said the that second word, which is like um I'm pretty glad that I didn't like stream that part, but but yeah, violence and stuff. So uh so the um I am personally also led to believe that to endorse procreation on the basis that it enhances or regulates the mental health of the existent is to endorse acts like violence, for example, as long as they enhance someone's mental health or someone who exists already, like consciously or like existentially. Um, which like he used perpetrator, which is like I guess a good word for this example. For example, good example. For example, Jesus Christ. Um, because like it's basically saying that it's very similar. If we look at this logically, it's very similar to acts like violence and how it enhances the perpetrator's mental health. Because like if someone's depressed and they like go do some thing that causes violence against people, of course they get some kind of a high from that to some extent, because if they wouldn't feel good about it, then why would they do it? Like, I personally couldn't see myself at least doing some kind of immoral thing if I wouldn't feel good about it, right? So, obviously. And yeah, but for the conclusion, he has wrote, I think that to deem the perpetrator's acts as morally wrong, uh, based on this justification, is to simultaneously deem procreation to be morally wrong, because it uses the same justification. This makes absolute moral logical sense for me, honestly. I'm gonna be real with you, because like it is basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. It's just that we kind of um I feel like a lot of how we cope with this kind of existential question, whether if giving birth is immoral or not, we kind of cope with it by um, um, being religious, for example. So a lot of the reason why we actually see life as better uh, than not existing is because religiously we like a lot of people are consider no a lot of people have been convinced that uh, life is just better than non-existence, or existence is better than non-existence. The very simple reason why I think that's a very kind of confusing in a sense. Of course, I do understand why someone could actually think that life or existence is better than non-existence. I kind of do understand, as long as you're like you've been convinced in a very religious sense. But like the reason why I am not convinced like that is because I've myself I I, I see life as kind of a limitation, right? So it's like we 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 aren't necessarily the thing that we want to be. We always strive to be something else. Therefore, that means we aren't what we want to be, right? So, um, I feel like in that sense, non-existence, it gives us the freedom to not feel like we're not complete enough, or like not feel like we aren't the thing that we want to be in existence, because we always are kind of convinced that we never, or like we aren't what we want to be. Therefore, we strive to become that. But realistically, you can never really become something, because the choices that you make, they aren't ever gonna end up in a perfect way that appeals to your expectations. So the point here is that um, you know making someone exist, I don't think it's a question of morality. I just think it's a question of compassion. So, for example, the person behind the channel of Morality Without Addiction, who made this comment and who made a very compelling video essay, um, he actually talked about compassion. So, like, why would we care about the idea that we cause suffering to someone else, just in order to because like after all, your own mental health improves. So why would we care about someone else's existence or someone else's suffering? Why would we care about that? Like you could say that it's a question of morality, I guess, but it really isn't because morality isn't a real thing. So why would we have this kind of very very instinctual intrinsic, why would we have this very intrinsic uh, desire to not cause suffering to someone else? Like for example, like I was talking in my first video how I don't really like killing animals in games because it's just not because of some morality thing, like because obviously there isn't an inherent morality being broken by uh, killing animals in a game because they are unconscious. They don't really feel suffering like existential beings. I call existential beings like beings uh, who feel suffering without being giving consent to life. So it's either that uh, if you don't have either of the other, then it's not really existential uh, being, because if someone doesn't suffer, then there isn't a very existential kind of uh, or actually let me think about this. Hold on. What I was saying is that if hold on, let me think about this. If a being doesn't experience suffering, then it really isn't existential, because there isn't any kind of uh thing that makes their life uh like existentially bad to an extent. Of course, it's kind of, it's still morally questionable whether if a being that uh, a being that exists um, despite not feeling suffering, but they still like feel the experience of life. I'm back here. uh, it could be argued that it's still to some extent suffering because they're forced to experience life. But I mean, if they don't feel suffering, then what is there really existentially for them? So there's like two things that make someone an existential being, like that kind of existential suffering, and secondarily, a consciousness that can feel that suffering, right? So, so um, so when I said existential suffering, uh, it's like this kind of, it's this being conscious about you suffering when you never gave consent to actually experience it. That's basically what I'm saying. So it's a question of compassion, not necessarily some moral truth, right? So like I don't believe that there's any like moral truths. I'm a moral subjectivist and overall just a skeptic of morality, for example. Like I'm not saying that morality doesn't matter. I'm saying basically that uh, like morality is a very good tool for uh, not causing unnecessary suffering, for example. But the reality is that morals don't uh, end suffering. The thing that stops suffering is when someone can be compassionate enough to not cause someone suffering. So, for example, I don't think that a psychopath has any kind of sense of compassion. They can understand morality. Everybody can understand morality, realistically speaking. But the 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 difference there is that if is someone compassionate enough to really care about someone else's suffering, I feel like. So yeah, did I say the conclusion fully? I'm not sure. I think I didn't say that last part, which is, in theory, this makes someone who thinks they are a pronatalist or considers procreation to be amoral to actually be an anti-natalist, because um, as long as you have, like, I feel like my part comes in here, or like where my view comes here, is that are you compassionate enough to care about someone else's suffering over your own mental well-being? I feel like that's the real question. Not really is it moral or amoral. I feel like this is logically a very compelling argument. I just, like, for example, I can agree with the fact that if something is moral or immoral, because realistically, morality is just a human concept, basically. Um, but there's still a compassion that we can really believe in, like, because um like there wouldn't be a doubt in my mind to kill animals in a video game if I didn't have that kind of compassion for other beings, in a sense. And for example, the video game animal example, it's pretty bad in its essence, because the thing is, the reason why we would care about someone else's suffering is because they consciously experience it, and therefore, to cause suffering to someone, it's kind of your fault for making someone else suffer. And mm, um, you know, I feel like that's why, for example, the video game example is, it's pretty bad, because they don't actually feel any existential suffering. So, and then there's people who actually just don't actually care about if someone has existential suffering, which is kind of crazy, because I'm just a whole different side of the spectrum, I guess. I mean, but it's really a question about compassion, I guess. I mean, if you're not compelled enough that you should care about other beings just because they have a similar existence than yours, in the sense that everybody suffers and then everybody dies, so therefore other beings do that as well. Being moral requires that kind of compassion, despite there not really being a a personal benefit for it. In fact, it can be a negative. Uh, it can be a negative for you, mental health wise, because it's better for your mental health to actually have children. I think, I'm pretty sure, because in order for you to have that drive to reproduce, there must be some kind of a biological drive for you to get there. And for you to have a biological drive, there must be a positive outcome, even if it's leading to negative outcomes. For example, we wouldn't be using drugs if there wasn't a positive outcome to some extent. Like, of course, there's a lot of negative outcomes, but there's a very immediate positive outcome, which is pleasure. But mm, yeah, I feel like, we could transition into my next topic. I actually have written some things up for this topic. Um, so about compassion, I want to continue with this uh, animal suffering part. That veganism is actually very similar to anti-natalism, because the I wrote here, using animal products is not immoral, but purposely giving birth to animals for the sole purpose of making them into product is actually neither. Neither is moral or immoral, because, well, as I said before, morality is a concept of the human kind of compassion, I guess, and also something that I feel like it's been made. Um, I feel like morals were made because compassion exists, and in fact, like, even if understanding that morals uh, would cause less suffering, that would that would hold on. My thought fully caught. Hold on, because, like, yeah, if there wasn't compassion, and even if morals could improve the the extent of how much suffering humans experience, I feel like there still must be a a sense of compassion in the creation of morals, because um I feel like like, compassion is a very interesting thing, I guess. I guess it's a logical I think it's a very logical outcome of philosophy, but also it's feelings based to some extent. Because, I mean, obviously, in order to feel compassion, you also need to feel something. I'm not sure um, where compassion kind of exists in the human brain, but it's it's still kind of, it's very apparent. I'm be real with you. When when we feel compassion, it's very apparent that it exists, because it doesn't exist in the like, constantly. You can't feel compassion really exist in the like 24/7, I guess. But we feel compassion from the uh from the choices we make, I guess. Like, when we do an action, is it uh out of self-interest, despite it maybe causing people to suffer more? Like, not suffer necessarily like a lot, but like suffer more. Because what I consider suffering is basically just the experience of the experience of existential suffering, pretty much. So um how do I get out of here? Am I stuck here? Hold up. Can I get back out? Can I even get out? Like, what? I'm confused. I'm confused. Oh, whatever. Just gonna rejoin this. Let me go back to what I was saying. Okay. Let me recollect my thoughts because I have no idea what I was talking about. But um, the element of compassion comes not as like a solely logical a conclusion. I feel like it's a very emotional one too. So like, for example, you I feel like there's a lot of like kind of deterministic kind of element to compassion as well. Like I don't think that everybody can feel, or like nobody feels compassion in the same way. Like I feel like there's different levels of compassion for everybody. Um, and it may be because someone experienced something in childhood or just overall their upbringing that's caused them to uh, end up with the thoughts they have today. And yeah, there's that kind of um, predeterministic or deterministic kind of element to it. So, mm, but yeah, let me go to the topic that I was talking about. Using animal products is not immoral, but like giving birth to them solely for the purpose of making product out of them isn't necessarily moral or immoral neither, because everything is amoral. And I feel like to an extent we can't have absolute morals because nothing is really absolute. Like I feel like religion has caused this kind of idea that things can actually be absolute. Like for example, I mean, obviously there's like things like science. I guess you could say that if you believe in science, then you're kind of agreeing with the fact that um, that something is kind of absolute to some extent. Like for example, the existence of the universe and the existence of physics and science. I guess you could say that, but um, that's a whole nother topic. Like when we're talking about like absolutes, I'm not really talking about like uh physical stuff. Like for example, like the physical existence. I mean, obviously, it must exist in some logical fashion because I don't think that logic could exist if that wasn't the case. Like, you know, we think logically, but the universe is very unlogical to our understanding. It wouldn't make any sense, like honestly. But um, you know, when we talk about ideas, for example, like God um makes something immoral, because like immorality has a big kind of um effects to our brain and uh, our kind of process of logic, like how we process logic. Um, because when we logically think, like, you know, obviously suffering is bad, so causing suffering to someone is immoral. Like that's a very logical take, but it's also kind of it's stating that something is absolute while, you know, realistically uh, it's basically a question of how we feel, I guess. And feelings are actually a very absolute thing. I guess our experience of them isn't, because I mean, obviously there's a lot of mixed emotions when it comes to uh how we like kind of live and stuff. Like for example, we may have an addiction, but despite this, we may feel good about doing something uh, in the moment, but we might not feel very good about it. Like for example, after all, like after um, indulging in it, or we just don't internally feel too good about it. So emotions are a very mixed bag, but emotions are very real. Like emotions are true in the existence of the universe, because I mean, obviously, if physics are true and science is true, then the body does like things that exists in the physical existence of stuff. So that includes like brain neurology and stuff. So can I checkpoint from here? Uh, that would be cool. But actually, like I wanna pause, and I wanna say that I've actually done way better than I did when I started this. When I started my first stream, when I was talking about the first. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have this still on the screen, so I'm just gonna take it off before the stream. Okay. So I've been talking about this topic, and I feel like I don't really have much else to talk about it. I'm just gonna. I have a couple of topics written here, and they're much more kind of. I want to talk about motivation, and like I kind of want to affirm people's kind of um, motivations and stuff. I've written here that for example, when strength stops being about winning, how strength that has led to this moment, uh, how it stops being about the goal. And also, there's like how losing everything is actually the best thing that can happen to someone. And it's like, it's stuff like that, I guess. Like, for example, that latter one is kind of it could be controversial, like losing everything that you have. How can it actually be the best thing that happens to you? I mean, isn't the best thing that can really happen to you be uh being complacent? But I don't think so, honestly. I personally don't think so. But yeah, I'm actually gonna start with this topic. I chose the skin. I chose the skin. It's called Rat, but he is infected by cheese. It's as I said in the first video, it's a very beautiful concept, honestly. It's but but later when I thought about it, it actually is philosophically much more profound than it appears to be on its surface. Um, I wrote here, beauty of the rat, how the cheese infection makes us real. Now the point the point of that statement is basically um, as humans, it, are we really anything if we don't have some kind of infection? Like the analogy that the cheese infection is. Like for example, when we think about a rat, we think that they eat cheese. Like if we think of it like a much more in a children's story kind of way, like Ratatouille type shit. Or actually, I don't think Ratatouille eats that much cheese. I don't remember. I don't. I think I watched Ratatouille when I was like, um, what was I like? Probably 9 or something. And now I'm 18, so 9 years, and it's actually now I'm twice the age that I watched it. I mean, obviously it's been a very long time, but time just feels like it's just going past me, man. Jesus. Mm, but like when we think about the rats, it's like uh the rats' existence is about finding cheese and then eating it. Now that's a now the cheese infection to me philosophically kind of means that we are kind of we are kind of infected by cheese, every one of us, like analogically, because um, everybody strives, everybody identifies themselves to some extent by the things that we strive for, even if it's like, uh, if it doesn't really make existential sense to us, like in a sense, like if something if we don't really have any absolute meaning in the universe and we still strive for something, it doesn't quite um it quite doesn't make existentially any sense to strive for it, because I mean, there is that kind of sense of nihilism to that. But there we go. We won. um but as I said, there isn't really existential point to um striving for those things, but we still kind of are infected by them in a sense. And the statement that the rat is infected by cheese, it kind of um shows that they are trapped in the fact that they are infected by it, instead of choosing like that, like it's out of our consent. Like no, not out of our consent, I guess you stated like that. um Hold on, let me take a sip of coffee. Hold on. So, as I said, the beauty of the rats. Like, the funny thing is that this is a purple thing, and even though rats do have a sense of, or like a tone of purple, they're still like, they aren't really, like, when I think of rats, I think of like, the skin would be black, and then the eye would be red. Like, that's how I think of rats, you know. And I feel like mice would be like being gray, and then their eyes are black, right? I mean, that's how I see it. And this skin has kind of a monkey tail, almost. Like, look at that. Look at my ass. Look at my ass. Look at my ass. Look at it. Look at it move. I'm glad I'm streaming, because this will end up as a VOD, so I have that saved. Thank you. What have I stated? Oh god. Why am I offline? Why is it's showing on OBS that I'm um offline, even though I'm very online, in fact. So I don't know what the fudge this OBS is talking about, man. But yeah, basically that's the beauty of the rats. We are infected by our desires to some extent. That's actually, I was not thinking about that kind of uh, idea when I found this skin, but And when I think about it, it's kind of beautiful actually. It's actually beautiful. Like not in a oh yeah, this is a beautiful concept in like sarcastic way. This is actually in fact kind of um a very profound concept. But yeah, let's move on to those topics I was talking about before. I talked about when strength or power stops being about the goal. So the thing is, life is about striving. I think honestly, like we don't really. There wouldn't be any point to life if we wouldn't do something that we desire to some extent, and that's when nihilism comes in. Like someone who doesn't have that uh, drive to do something, then it's like they'll end up empty, and that kind of uh, it can even lead to like losing power to some extent if you can't find new meaning. Uh, but if you actually find new meaning, it actually kind of makes you stronger, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man. Like if like how I see it, like that's a very strong line actually. Like the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's a way more applicable line than I initially thought. Like let's say you like it doesn't apply to everything. Like for example, you break your leg and you almost died for that, but still have a broken leg. So you're not. I mean, I guess you could be mentally more strong there because, um, in order to keep living, you kind of have to come in terms with the fact that your leg is broken, and that kind of shifts your whole mentality. And I guess that just kind of makes you stronger in a sense. Or, if it doesn't make you necessarily stronger, then it makes you um you have two perspectives of life. Like you lived a life where your leg was not broken, and then you lived a life where your did I say life is broken? I meant leg is broken. And then you lived a life where your leg is actually broken. So in a sense, you always come out of something that doesn't kill you stronger. And I feel like that it applies to almost everything, like and I would say everything if I wasn't sure. Oh, no, I would say that everything that doesn't kill everything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I would say that if I was sure, but I honestly am not sure. And you know, um, suffering always improves character, and that's an interesting point that also the commenter of the comment that I spoke about before, he also included the fact um that obviously it's not having kids would cause suffering to yourself, because you would end up feeling in a negative fashion, or like negative way afterwards. But um, realistically, suffering improves character. It strengthens your character, in fact, and that is very true, and that's where the line "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger" comes from. Mm, and you know, losing everything is basically, when I say everything, I don't mean like uh absolutely everything, because then you would just like not have anything basically. But like if you like, think of a concept where you like think I lost everything, and you know, for example, it may be someone you loved, maybe you lost them, or I mean, basically anything where you lose the concept of, or like where you lose the meaning of your life to some extent, I guess. Like for example, if you loved someone, you would very easily say that uh, they were your whole life, and you know, having to kind of lose that, it it causes immense suffering and almost like loss of meaning, nihilism. But as the line says that I said before, uh, losing everything can be the best thing that can happen to you. Actually, we changed topics kind of, but I mean, I do like the transition, in fact, so I'm just gonna keep on going. Losing everything can be the the best thing that can happen to you, not necessarily because you want it to happen to you, but it strengthens your character, and you become like much more stronger by losing everything. Like for example, like I think this topic came in my mind because I wrote that part to the notes, because I wrote some notes after making my hardcore video, my first YouTube video on this channel. That's I made that note right after making that video, and that's why it's so early on the list as well. That dying in hardcore, you basically lose everything that you had, but you can still keep on going. Like you lost everything that you have, but you can start again. You can find your new meaning. You can find new meaning. Say you had uh, all your beloved animals on that world that you died on, but you can start again and find new compassion, because that's the whole line, that what doesn't kill you makes you, it simply makes you stronger. I have no fucking idea where. Oh, there. Mm. I was meant to go there. Oh, where am I supposed to go? There. Okay. Well, that didn't quite end up well. There we go. And in that sense, losing everything that you have, it basically gives you like new strength. It gives you new strength. Of course, you lost everything, but it's like it's better for you, instead of it's better for just everything that you used to be. I guess it's very hard to explain, I guess, but I mean, it's very easy concept to actually grasp, as long as you give it like, I mean, as long as you give it a try at least, because if you haven't experienced losing kind of your everything, then I mean, I don't really know how you could actually not agree with this, because you haven't personally gone through it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who actually come out of losing their concept of everything and then coming out of that stronger. Wait, where the heck? Where's the checkpoint? Please be somewhere up because I'm not gonna fucking go back. Oh, I'm back here. Was there a checkpoint? Bro, why does that sound like the Tokyo Revenge song starts? You know, what was it? Good Morning Tokyo, and that's the song's name. That's the start. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up real quick. I hope I don't get demonetized. And I don't even have my fucking shit monetized, but I hope I don't get a copyright strike. But it should be at the very start, actually. So it's like that's a good thing. Just bring it out here. There. Where? Hold on. Come on, play it already. I remember when I used to listen to Tokyo Revenge. There. It wasn't that just the same fucking sound, but just like lower pitch. What the shit? But I just keep on falling on the same platform. Anyways, yeah. I had the other topic. Do I really have anything to say about that one? It was about hold on. Let me just bring my notes out from here. When strength stops being about winning. Now there's two ways you can really just kind of lose your desire to chase a goal. I feel like there's two ways you can do that, or like how that can happen. You either fall into nihilism, or then you just kind of become complacent with what you have. And I feel like, you know, complacency doesn't really mean that you're just like live in your little happy bubble for the rest of your life. I mean, of course, that's one way, but honestly, I feel like that would fall more into the category of nihilism than to be complacent, because you just kind of you lose the meaning in life, you know, because you're not really doing anything. I really need to piss, and a package arrived. That's very nice. I got my new shirt, and I got my new jeans, and I got my sheet. My sheet. I'm gonna be tripped out, man. I'm gonna be tripped out. I might go to piss because I might piss my pants, so that's pretty cool. Let me just change this text. I am taking a wee. Yeah, I'm gonna mute my mic real quick there. I forgot that since my OBS doesn't really show my live stats right now, it's like it's showing that I'm offline, but um I'm really not because I can see it from my browser. Anyways, I'm just gonna change this back to let's what's something funny? Something funny that I could change it into. Hold on. You are obligated to wait for me. Thanks, I guess. Let me just let me just make that smaller. There we go. Mm, yeah. And now we go back to Minecraft. I was parkouring and I just can't get too far and I fell. I can't play this. Hold on. I wanna get my zoom back. Hold on. Mouse, yeah, there we go. That's perfect. Zoom. There we go. Now I can zoom. I can be like. Anyway. I can do my funny zooms whenever I feel like. I feel like that's my strength. I can just I hold I yeah, hold on, let me think of this word. I keep a suspended um silence and yeah, that's my power, I guess. In 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 comedy, my only my only strength is to shut up. That's that's a very strong um yeah, that's very strong. Like comedy wise, I guess. Yeah. I'm low-key happy about like this stream right now because I thought this stream would go like so badly because like my explaining on doing the first stream was so bad. I feel like the reason was mostly because um my like my voice is dry as shit right now and I had to take that coffee because otherwise my voice just would have honestly been so and it's right now very dry stuff. Anyway, that's very nice. Honestly, I could go to an SMP. That would be very cool. Let me check out my OBS real quick. I feel like I'm very annoyed about the fact that I can't. Okay, select stream. There we go. Oh my god, I can now see my stats. Holy shit. Oh my god, I didn't change my bit rate, and now it's like it's basically the highest that it can be, I'm pretty sure. Didn't change my yeah. Let me check out my stream. Does it look like fine and shit? Let me go to a parkour real quick and see if everything's fine. Let me do a real quick parkour here. Yeah, the stream looks fine, honestly. Can I actually pull this whole parkour off? No. Anyways, we're gonna be doing some SMP stuff. I have a lot of servers here. This one I can actually join because the thing is, I don't turn off my VPN, even if it meant that I can't join the server. So, yeah, it's very disappointing, I guess. But I mean, sacrifices, I guess. But yeah, there was this server, and I want to join that and kind of grind on that if I can. I'm gonna actually change the title of this stream because I'm not doing Minecraft parkour anymore. Playing SMP. Minecraft. And there we go. Now we change our title. Should be fine. Just bring out my OBS again. There, I can. No. There we go. Nobody's on this stream, which is like, I guess it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's expected, honestly. Let's just go to the server. Welcome back, you. By the way, my username is not you. So, if you want to figure out my player name, you gotta find me online. So, because I'm not saying it neither. So, what is this? The whole new spawn. Why? My throat is dry as a motherfucker. Let me get my I'm gonna get some water, I guess. Oh. I have two 1.5 liter Pepsi bottles in my freezer. And when I finish with the other one, I can just take the other out and drink out of that, and then just fill the other one so it goes cold. Let's take some. Hopefully, this one person that is on this server isn't like a griefer and kills me. But hell, I don't even have anything, so it doesn't really matter. Did I say like I have two 1.5 liter Pepsi bottles that I fill with water, not like, what is this? Why is there McDonald's? I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get a Pepsi. Okay, where can I get my she? Okay, thanks. Do some crime. Hopefully there isn't like a prison here. Actually, honestly, I hope there is, because I mean, say that would be very, very cool. And then there's an apartment. Like, what is this? This is not some. Like, I wanted to play a vanilla SMP server. Savage truth. Savage. I said savage like as a joke. Of course, I know it's savage. So please do not bully me, because that would not be cool. No bueno. What is this server, man? I thought this was a vanilla server, and now there's like this. Like, why? You know what? Let's practice some PvP. And we gotta edit our title again. Playing Minecraft PvP land. Discussing philosophy. Let's change that as well, because we kind of finished with our topic of morality, I guess. I mean, of course, a lot of things relate to morality, but mm, we're gonna be practicing with bots because I feel like that's just the best way to like kind of practice your CPS, for example. Because these bots are so OP, like, because they can't really miss. They just like are locked onto you, other than like when you strafe, for example. And look at this. Look at this. I'm very bad at this, by the way, so I really want to become better at PvP. And I really want to learn to butterfly click. Like I'm doing it right now, but it's like, you can see it's not consistent at all. I do have a Model O, but as I said in my first video, I broke it, so I have a shitty ass broken Model O. There's like, I think there's a specific, very specific position where it actually does work. There we go. I guess that's somewhat correct. Let me try, because like I'm not gonna even go to like the hard difficulty on this like bots, because it's just like way too OP. And you can't even like do like strafing really, because they just like are kind of catch you anyway. You don't really get proper like practicing or anything. So I just like I guess in hard you could like I guess in hard mode you could do diamond, I guess. The diamond is pretty easy on this on the medium level, but on hard it's like you barely win that. Not very good. Oh Jesus, bro. Let's try to get some crits. Yeah, I haven't PvP today, so I mean it's kind of unfortunate. Let's eat. Jesus, my freaking I'm trying to do rod and I just can't even get him. Why didn't it shoot? What the fuck? Ooh. He only had a half a heart. I could have just hit him, but I didn't want to take no risk. Because you don't want to take risks. Like, the thing is, you really don't. Sometimes you have to in order to win, but you preferably want to take your time and kind of or like not take your time. I guess you gotta very strategically try to fit in all the stuff that you need to do. And like, for example, the hard mode very well displays it, that you know, if you don't place things in a good way, you're gonna suffer the consequences of that. Let's try to just kind of do normal clicking, because I'm not very... Oh, Jesus. It's not shooting the fucking bow, Jesus. Okay. I miss the one time that I actually, dude. Oh Jesus, he's strafing. What the fuck? His butt's strafe, which is kind of crazy. We gotta eat. Gotta eat. I missed. Fuck. Where will I eat again? Jesus. Jesus. I gotta use the rod way more because, like, oh my god, Jesus. This fight. Oh my god, bro. What? Oh my god. He had half a heart, and then I just, like, he healed somehow. Like, I don't even know how the fuck he healed that quick. I think I'm improving in this PvP, honestly, because, like, the thing is, as long as you challenge yourself, like, more and more every time, you can actually become way better at something. Stop strafing, bitch. Almost hit him. Almost. In fact, I probably almost did not. Actually, I wasn't even probably close. Jesus, stop fucking, bitch. Stop fucking me, dude. Oh, actually, nah. Chill. He still has 9 fucking hearts. What the fuck, dude? Stop fucking what the fuck, dude. Stop strafing, you bitch ass bitch. What the fuck, dude? I just get so like salty when I fucking do this shit. Because I low-key want to be good at this shit, but like these fucking bots are crazy with their aim, bro. My aim is so ass shit. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Let's try to strafe, because my strafing is not quite there yet. See if we can see. I should utilize the bow rod way more. Especially when I'm getting strafed. 5. I guess I could actually get him. No, Jesus fuck. Whatever. Yeah, I'm so bro. getting fudged in medium is crazy, honestly. Anyways, let's try to get our strafing right. It's like something like, you know, doing this and then I read something about W tapping and then kind of holding the other side move button, aka A or D, while then kind of spamming the other one. That way you kind of get the correct kind of angle to it, and you do a circle strafe. I've been practicing, like, you know, I've been learning new stuff, dude. And the way you stop a um, being strafed is by jumping right after you get hit. But as you saw, I fucking jumped when before he hit me, I guess, because I just flew. But it's also a very specific timing too, which is like very ass, honestly. Bro, I'm trying to do the butterfly clicking, but my shit is just not working. Let's just fucking do normal clicking. Like, I've overall just kind of learned into doing the butterfly click during PvP, but I feel like that's turned out to be a bad choice because I just like I honestly am worse probably with butterfly clicking, especially when you have a bad mouse that is broken, or it's not a bad mouse, it's just broken. I thought you fucking fell already, stupid ass monkey. You fucking go already, dude. Fucking dickhead. Jesus. Now I'm just kind of, I really was like, I named this stream discussing philosophy while playing Minecraft, but I mean, yeah, I could talk about this topic, I guess. Um, being raw in a world full of artificiality. So the thing is, I could potentially kind of just make like very edited videos and stuff on this channel, for example. But I just kind of, you know, do unedited streams and stuff and shit. I mean, of course I did edit, for example, the last video, or like the first video that I did, but it's very minimally edited, and it's basically just edited to the extent that everything that needs to be on the video is on the video, and like I blurred my name and stuff, so it's like I wouldn't really count that, but being raw in a world full of artificiality, it's kind of it's a very defiant act, like you're rebelling against the kind of system where kind of being artificial is encouraged. Like you could, like there's a bunch of, you know, different you know, brands that you wear, and a lot of people wear the same brands. You know, but it's like, after all, it's not about like wearing some specific brand, because the real rawness doesn't happen in some idea of a brand. Like, you know, it really just happens in damn, that was really hard, Jesus. But it really just happens in kind of being more naturalistic with your like outreach to some extent. Of course, it's not about being like a fully raw, like kind of naturalistic kind of person. I mean, of course, it takes a lot of unnatural, a lot of unnaturality to be like a good person. Like you could be such a bad, like people aren't overall just like when we think about being moral creatures, we really aren't out of nature. We are just moral because, like, well, upbringing is a very important part, and I feel like, you know, in a lot of cases, we just grow up into a culture where, you know, being compassionate is is a big part of, you know, it's a big part of, um, you know, being just in that culture, I guess. And but I feel like the problem is that, that kind of unnaturality can also kind of cause becoming empty and very uh, artificial. Like personally, I feel like there's a lot of artificial things about me, but there is definitely that kind of raw. There is a raw kind of personality behind everybody, I think. For example, me starting this channel, it's like I kind of wanted to do this because like I don't really edit a lot on this channel, and um I low-key just want to talk about things that I just like have in mind. I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. Mm, but it's like, can I get this again? Nice, I actually got that very well. But yeah, it's like, for example, me stopping talking and like kind of focusing in on that game. It's like it's one of those kind of very raw things about mm, being a human. You can't focus on multiple things at once. You gotta kind of like you can't multitask. That's not a real thing. The only thing you can really do is to instinctually do things that you already can do while doing something else. Like for example, driving, it can take a lot of multitasking if you don't know how to, for example, use the clutch. It can take a lot of focus. For example, if you're in an intersection and you gotta stop and you gotta start the car, um, and or like start moving and gotta focus on the clutch and turn at the same time. It can take a lot of multitasking, but realistically, when you multitask, it's just the ability to kind of do things that you already know how to do. And yeah, basically. Yeah, I almost forgot what I was talking about originally here, and it was the fact that um being raw is kind of, to me, being raw is pretty important. For example, like, at least I don't know about other people. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different kind of people, and I feel like it's fair enough to say that um mm, it's very fair to say that you I mean, I don't know, like, everybody can choose their own kind of life, I guess. And if someone wants to be artificial, then, like, who am I to judge or stop them? But being raw in a world full of artificiality, like, the thing is, this could go to a lot of different kind of things. Like, uh you could choose eating mindfully when other people are eating like mindlessly, like very artificial foods. And just overall, I guess we are kind of, I guess it takes a lot of, self-realization to get to a point where you actually allow yourself to become raw in that sense. Because a lot of, like, for example, um I feel like babies crying, it's pretty artificial. Like, of course, it's biological, but it's artificial to an extent that um it's only for the purpose of kind of getting what you want. Like, for example, if If the baby starts crying, you can pretty much tell that they either want food, they want closure, uh, they want well, they want something else. You know, they drop their toy and they start crying. You're like, okay, yeah, that baby just started crying because of a toy. Like, come on, bro. But mm, I feel like the rawness comes when you can understand that crying is kind of a biological drive, and allowing only crying when it's really kind of, well, not necessary. Like it's not always about if something is necessary. I guess you just like sometimes you gotta let it out, man. But mm, you know, for example, and of course the lack of crying can also kind of become artificial to some extent. Like you were programmed to not cry, and I personally dealt with that. I didn't cry for like maybe 4 years until I actually just something very deep happened to me, and I only like cried 5 months after that happened, which is like kind of, it's crazy because you just kind of it's not that I kind of ignored it for a long time. It's just that I didn't know how to show that kind of feeling and stuff. And then I just kind of bursted into tears the one day, and that's when my emotions kind of opened. And you know, you could pretty much say that that's pretty raw in its essence to kind of go through that kind of a uh, character change. Yeah, I mean, I've been streaming for like, well, on this stream I've been streaming for like 1.5 hours, but totally, I think I've streamed for like over 2 hours, considering I had the first stream, and then uh to be honest, if I feel like it, I could come back to streaming after I've got the package. I'm gonna go and get the package for myself. So, but yeah, I might stop the stream for now, and uh, if we don't see, maybe tomorrow, maybe, perhaps, I should have time, but if if I have time tomorrow, I will come to stream. But yeah, this is gonna be uploaded to YouTube. So I mean, I might do separate videos for all the topics that I talked about today, so I can kind of get a pretty conclusive, get conclusive videos about different topics that I talk about, and just overall trying to cut some sections where it may be like kind of I stopped to think for too long or something. I mean, of course it doesn't really matter to me necessarily, but like I do care about, kind of not wasting people's time, I guess. So, but anyway, I'm gonna cut the stream now. Oh my god, I'm so fucking tired. Holy fuck. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you all maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe later. So yeah, holy shit. Wow, that was beautiful. Anyway, yeah.